This video is to give you an idea of what you can expect on the Excel certification test. This is a practice test. It's not made by Microsoft. However, it is very similar in approach to what you can expect to see on the MOS Excel test. So everything's structured in terms of projects. So here you can see we have project 1 of 7 that's in this group. Let's go to task 1. It tells me that beginning at cell A16 on sheet 1, which is right here, they want me to import the list from the comma delimited file moretoys.csv located in the geometrics templates folder. So I'm going to go to data from text. The particular folder it's referring to is within documents, and here we have geometrics templates. Here we are, moretoys.csv. Well, let's look at it as we import it here. It says it is delimited. Tell it next. How is it delimited? Well, we have a comma delimited one. You can see we have the commas dividing here. So I'm going to select comma. Tell it next, and then I can go on and finish and tell it OK. And when you finish a step, go back and look. Does that appear appropriate? Well, it looks like it has dropped things in the same format as items were there previously. So that's a good sign. I'm going to move on to task 2. Change the worksheet tab color of sheet 1 to be blue accent 2 darker 25. Can right click, tab color. Here's where we have to hover. We see that is blue accent 2. I need darker 25. And that's this one. So I have to hover to make sure I get just the right one. Task 3. Copy the contents of the new inventory worksheet and put it on the table in the boats worksheet beginning at cell A6. Now I want you to notice I just pointed to new inventory sheet and nothing happened. Basically my first click was taking me back into Excel instead of being in the bottom part down here, which is my testing software. So it may take you more than one click to move sheets. Just be very careful with that. They want me to copy the contents. So I'm going to copy. We want to put it on the boat sheet beginning at cell A6. And I'm going to paste it. And again, that appears reasonable. So let's go on to task 4. Reorder the worksheet so boats is first. Well, I can point to it, click, and just drag it to the beginning. And then task 5 wants me to hide the new inventory worksheet. Can point to that tab, right click, and tell it to hide. We're now at project 2. Task 1 says to join cells A1 through E1 on the tackle worksheet. Well, here I'm on the tackle worksheet. They want me to join cells A1 through E1. Well, that terminology might be a little bit confusing, but what I think they were trying to get me to do is to merge the cells. But they tell me don't change the alignment. I could go to merge and center, but that's going to change the alignment and make it centered. So let me click the downward arrow. I can tell it simply to merge cells, and that will not change the alignment. So they didn't use the word merge, but I think that's what they're wanting me to do here. Task 2 on the carrier and coolers worksheet. Link the contents in cells C10, C11, and C12 to cell A4 on the tackle worksheet. I think the terminology isn't particularly good on this one, but let's see if we can figure out what they're wanting me to do. In C10, they want me to link this to cell A4 on the tackle worksheet. What I think they want me to do here is to put in a hyperlink. So I'm going to tell it to insert a hyperlink. I'm going to place it in this document on the sheet called Tackle and on the cell of A4. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to hyperlink in this document on the Tackle worksheet, cell A4. And finally, again, I will hyperlink, place in this document, Tackle worksheet, cell A4. Okay. Task 3 on the carriers and coolers worksheet. apply the 3 flags icon set to the inventory column. Well, I'm going to highlight all of those items. We haven't really done the icon sets before, but I bet we can figure it out. If we go to conditional formatting, we have icon sets, and they want me to do 3 flags, and I would bet that's it, but I'm going to hover over it and make sure that's the right terminology. And you see that it makes the green flag by the larger numbers down to the red flag by the smaller numbers. We can do a lot of tweaking with that also, but they didn't ask me to here. Task 4. On the Carriers and Coolers worksheet, expand the chart data range to include the rest of the rows in the table. Well, I'm going to go right-click my chart, select data, and you see right here that my chart is of cells C4 through D9. Well, they want me to pick up the extra rows, so instead of having it end at D9, I'm going to tell it to go down to D19, and that should be picking up all of my rows then. Copy only the Carriers and Coolers worksheet into a new workbook. Well, I can right-click it, move or copy, create a copy, but we want to copy it to a new book. Tell it OK. And then we need to save this book. We'll do a file save as. We're going to put it to the Geometrics folder. And we are to give it the name of Inventory Report. Be very careful when you type. A misspelling is going to get something marked wrong, so be very cautious. And then they want me to close that workbook before I go on. Project 3. Task 1. They want me to replace all occurrences of the word choco with chocolate. Find and select. I'm going to replace choco. Options. Not only within the worksheet, they want me to do it within the entire workbook. And now I'll tell it to replace all. Task 2. On the cost worksheet, repeat the rows containing the company logo and column headings so they appear on all printed pages. That's going to be on the page layout ribbon. You can go to print titles. The rows to repeat at the top. These 3. And tell it OK. Task 3. In B28 on the profits worksheet. Again, please notice that it's taking me 2 clicks to do most things that you would otherwise expect just to be 1, because I'm moving back and forth between the testing software and the Excel workbook. In cell B28 on the profits worksheet, insert a formula that displays the number of sales that are greater than 250. Well, that's going to take a function. This is going to need my COUNTIF function. When you have to insert a function, please go to the FX or paste function to insert it. So much easier that way. Just can't say that strongly enough. So COUNTIF, we want to know the number of sales that are greater than 250. First off, it wants to know my range. Well, I need to find where my sales are. And my sales are right here. So here's my range. And my criteria is if it is greater than 250. And it tells me I have 9. When you finish, go back and look, make sure that appears reasonable. Task 4, modify the chart on the profits worksheet so that the flavors are displayed as horizontal axis labels and expense and income are the legend series. Well, I'm going to go to select data. And if you'll notice right now, we have the opposite. So I can go here to switch row and column. And now I have my expense and income or my legend entries, and my flavors are my horizontal axis labels. Task 5. Modify the chart on the profits worksheet so that the legend appears at the top. Well, I can go to legend, and instead of it being at the bottom as it is now, I'll tell it to the top. Project 4. Task 1. Add a new worksheet named Customers. Task 2, simultaneously remove all duplicate records in the wired networks table. Well, that's in my hardware sheet. Here's wired networks. So let's go to my table. We can go to data, remove duplicates. Now they didn't give me any more specific information than this, so I'm going to go with everything and tell it OK. Beginning at cell A1 on the hardware worksheet, import the picture network topology located in the Geometrics Templates folder. Insert, Pictures, Geometrics Templates, and there's our image. Task 4, on the hardware worksheet, rotate the text wired networks and wireless networks, I can use the control key, select them both at one time, to angle clockwise. Angle clockwise. Well, if I click my orientation, my second option is angle clockwise. Task 5, sort the data in the wired networks table. Sort by product ID, smallest to largest. I'm going to go to my data ribbon. I'm going to go to sort. Sort by product ID, and we want it smallest to largest. Project 5. Configure the Q1 sales worksheet so that rows 1 through 3 remain visible as you scroll vertically. You can go to View, Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. And as I scroll down, those are still visible. I should mention that there's more than one way to do most things in Excel, so perhaps the way that I go about it isn't the way that you would automatically do it, and that's perfectly fine if you achieve the same end result. Add the subject equipment draft to the document properties. Let's go to File. Let's go to Properties. We don't see the subject option appearing, so let's click the downward arrow and go to Advanced Properties, and under Subject, we'll type in Equipment Draft. Task 3. Configure Excel to always print cell range A1 to F17 on the Q1 worksheet. Q1, page layout. Well, we better select it all first here. And that's A1 through F17. Print area, set print area. Task 4, on the Q1 worksheet, insert a function in cell B19 that calculates all sales from the total column. What they're really asking me to do now is just to simply auto-sum, and we want to auto-sum the total column. Task 5, in B4 on the Q1 sales, insert a function that joins the catalog description to the style separated by a hyphen. Include a space on both sides of the hyphen. I think this is a not very well worded one. Here's what they want me to do. They really want me to come back and link it right here. And do you see where this is the 15-inch bicycle and this is the 15-inch bicycle? What they're wanting me to do is to simply pull to the other worksheet what's in the description and what's in the style. Now again, this is not the way I'd go about it. I don't think it's very good, but this is what they're asking me to do. Now they did tell me to do a function. There really are two ways to join text. You can use the ampersand sign, but in this case they wanted me to use the function, and this test kind of likes this function, and that is concatenate. So be familiar with this function. They normally ask about it. And concatenate is just a function to join text. So right now we're at the 15-inch bike. So we want to pull text 1 from the catalog worksheet, the description. Text 2, they want me to have a blank space, a hyphen, and another blank space. And then text 3, they want me to pull the style. and tell it OK. Because this is a table, it automatically populated the rest. Again, I'm not too crazy about the wording of this at all, but that's what they're looking for here. Project 6, task 1, enable the total row for the table located on the quarter 1 worksheet. Expect this test to deal with tables. They like tables in this test. So get comfortable dealing with tables. I think you're going to see that. So I'm going to be in the table to select it. I go to Design, and then I'm going to click on Total Row. Task 2, on the quarter 1 worksheet in the maximum row, which is right here, in column B, that returns the greatest number of successful attempts for the month of January. I can get to that function easily here if I'd like, or I could go to FX, either way, to get to max, which is my function for the maximum. And it wants the maximum of the successful attempts for the month of January, which would be these. Task 3, quarter 1 worksheet. Use the data contained only in the trail January, February, and March columns to create a 3D clustered column. Do not include the total. So I'm going to right here, select my data. I'm going to tell it to insert. We're going to insert a 3D clustered column. So I'll go here to column, 3D, hover over it, 3D clustered column. Position it to the right of the table. Task 4, on the quarter 2 worksheet, create a table from cell range A9 to E14 by applying the table style medium 18. We're on the home ribbon. We can go to Format as Table, and they want it to be a table style medium 18. My table does have headers. And then task 5, apply style 3 to the chart on the quarter 2 worksheet. Style 3, I'm going to hover over it. Now we're on to project 7. Task 1, use autofill to copy the formula in H4 to calculate the total compensation for each employee on the bonuses table. Well, let's go to bonuses. They want me to take the existing formula, copy it down. Task 2, insert a formula into cell G4 that evaluates whether the amount in parts, accessories, or services exceed the quarterly goal. For each column that exceeds the goal, apply the quarterly bonus rate. I don't think the wording is particularly good on this one, but we're going to figure it out. All right, they're wanting me to use the SUMIF function. What range do I want to evaluate? Well, I want to evaluate these criteria if it is greater than the quarterly goal. Now, my quarterly goal is in B18, but I can tell you that if I actually tell it greater than B18, I end up with a problem here. Can't really explain it to you, but I've seen it many times before. So we're just going to type in greater than the 100,000. If it is greater than 100,000, then we're going to sum the parts, accessories, and services. We'll tell it OK. So that's going to sum the ones that are greater than 100,000. But then it wants me to apply the quarterly rate to that. So onto the end of this function, I'm going to tag on multiplying it by the quarterly bonus rate, which is in B17. Didn't copy down, did it? Why is that? Well, the B17 by default was relative. I need it to be absolute because I don't want it to change when I copy that formula down. Therefore, I make it absolute, and my formula is now working. Task 3, on the employee bonuses worksheet, remove the row containing the salesperson named Alan. Right-click and delete him. Task 4, on the employee bonuses worksheet, disable the headings on the rate table. Here's my rate table. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to go to Design, and I will uncheck the header row. Task 5, in cell F4 on the parts worksheet, parts worksheet, F4. Insert a line that graphs the trend of sales from January through March. Well, what they're really looking for is a spark line. I'm going to go to Insert. They want a line, so I get a line, spark line. They want the trend of January through March, right here. Tell it OK. They didn't tell me to copy it down, so I'm going to stop there. I hope this is giving you a better understanding of what the test is going to look like. The structure of this practice test is very similar to the structure of the Excel test. Each practice test we would do may emphasize something different. It may cover something that a previous test didn't cover. And the same with the Excel test. There are multiple versions of the actual certification test, and they all are going to look a little bit different.